Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another Megaport live tech drop-in session. Please. So let's just start with what is this about. If you're new to this tech drop-in session, Megaport hosts three different sessions globally every Friday, led by our solution architects from APAC, American, and Europe. And this is a informal chat about our product and the solutions. So please feel free to bring up any questions or maybe any hot topics you want us to discuss in this drop-in session. And we also aim to do some live demos to show you how Megaport services work in the real world. If you haven't got a chance to try it yourself. A little bit about myself. So my name is Morgan Wan. As you can see on the screen, I'm a solution architect from Megaport. I'm myself based in Melbourne. So I predominantly support our customers in Victoria, Tasmania, and New Zealand. Also some channel partners working in these areas. So you can find my contact information here, very simple, morgan.wan@megaport.com. And my LinkedIn URL. Feel free to send me any emails about, I guess, anything you want to chat about Megaport solution and the product. And appreciate if you want to connect me with LinkedIn as well. So today, we have a topic about high availability. This is something actually really commonly brought up by customers and really important in terms of the solution design of Megaport. So we'll probably deep dive into some different scenarios and options that are available for customer to leverage when they use Megaport service and the solutions. But before that, probably provide a really simple rundown of who is Megaport and what Megaport does. If you're new to Megaport solution and the product, we are actually now it's the largest data center and public cloud connectivity provider globally. We are sorry, we have officially popped in over 8,000 data centers globally. That's roughly 10% of all the data centers. And we have interconnected into different public cloud provider or content or service providers and over 300 different on-ramp locations. Through Megaport Fabric, you can actually directly from your physical data center or even not that physical data center from a virtual appliance to connect into all these destinations. And in APAC, we actually also introduced the last mile extension from data center into customer location in case apparently a lot of customers don't really have a physical data center footprint, or they have this strategy to exit data center and moving into probably office plus cloud kind of setup. That's also something we recently introduced to our customers. And in terms of Megaport's product offering, you can see on the screen, we have actually categorized them into two different parts. One part is access service. That's where the customer can use to connect into Megaport Fabric. If the customer is in the physical data center, then apparently a physical port in the data center is the easiest way to connect into Megaport Fabric. With the port, you can actually reach out to all the destinations. Otherwise, if the customer don't have a physical data center or they tend to connect the rest of the fabric in a more virtualized way, we do have Megaport Cloud Router and Megaport Virtual Edge can use as customers' access point. And from that access point onward, pretty much everything would be VXC, virtual cross connection in the Megaport terminology. And you can use VXC to apparently connect into cloud providers, connect to another data center, or connect into Megaport Internet or Megaport X. And not only Megaport's own service, Megaport actually opened up the marketplace for all the partners and the customers. So if you are one of the content provider or service provider using Megaport service, you can actually choose to open up your port or MCR or MVE for other customers to connect into your environment through a marketplace or through a private service key. And through all the, I guess, access services and VXCs, typically we categorize the connection scenarios into these different, I guess, use case. We started from DC to DC. That's really how Megaport being introduced to the market. If you want to connect to two physical DCs, then the traditional way is really time-consuming and complex and expensive. And so with Megaport, you just need to order two ports in two DCs and provision a VXC connecting the two DCs, and that will happen within 60 seconds. Of course, you still need to organize cross connection in both ends of the data center, but that's just something you have to do, right? If you need to pop in a data center. And from the DC to DC onward, then we interconnect into multiple cloud providers. All the popular ones basically, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle, and some other ones are probably more like a regional or for specific marketplace. For example, WebEx, for example, Wasabi and Alibaba, things like that. And from your DC, you can actually connect into different cloud providers rather than just pop into that specific DC that you have to physically meet with a cloud provider. And moving on from there, then apparently customers started to introduce this multi-cloud strategy because pretty much everybody started with one cloud and they found there's a use case to use multiple cloud to balance the workload to use them for different, I guess, application or jobs. So we have this cloud to cloud connectivity use case then become available for the customers. You can basically leverage Megaport Cloud Router, which is a very simple VRF routing instance provisioned on the Megaport fabric. Can be very close to the cloud provider. So you can join two cloud services together on this MCR, this routing instance, rather than having a physical data center and the physical router in the physical rack, just for the purpose of a route traffic between the two public clouds. And that's just a simple interconnection between clouds. And from there, there's another version of the virtualized connectivity, which we call that virtual edge. That's basically the same platform we offer Cloud Router to the customers, but instead of a turnkey solution where we manage everything for Cloud Router, customer can bring their own license and the configuration on the virtual edge. For example, use that use that as a Cisco router, as a Fortinet firewall, Palo Alto firewall, or maybe Webtala SD-WAN Edge, something like that. So it supports more complex scenario where a customer want to connect cloud, want to enforce some security rules, and want to introduce remote site or remote offices through a IPsec tunnel or SD-WAN overlay connectivity. And moving on, that will be probably one of the first product Megaport released to the customer internet exchange. We run our internet exchange. So if you have a port with Megaport, you can actually turn up a VXC from your port to the exchange free of charge in the same metro. So you can participate with peering with all the other peers in the internet exchange and leverage that to offload your internet facing traffic if the route available in the exchange. The last one probably it's really newish one, Net Gateway. That's actually a product we just came up with, driven by customer requirement, where Megaport can provide you this turnkey Net Gateway product, help you to offset the internet-facing traffic from the public internet side of a cloud provider to the more private connection side of the cloud provider. For example, it can be through the Direct Connect if AWS, or through the Express route if it's Azure. So we can help you manipulate the traffic and basically save you some cost on the egress of the public cloud provider, and also I guess a lot of bigger customers, they really need to control the cost on the net gateway in the public cloud provider. So Megaport Net Gateway is a good alternative because we only price that up per bandwidth rather than based on the netting transactions. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the typical use case and the connectivity scenarios customer use Megaport now. And moving on to today's topic of high availability. So I guess high availability comes a little bit different in terms of what product you want to use with Megaport. The first one is apparently physical port in the data center. So the most simple way, probably the start point of all the customers and the start point of Megaport. In the data center, we present you a router or switch, and we can enable port for the customer, and the customer have their own switch or router sitting in their own rack, and it just need to run a cross connection between the two ports. And it's just a simplest way to connect into the whole fabric, but 100% it will be a single point of failure, pretty much one way up, one way down. And there's no alternative, no protection. And based on that, we actually can provide a customer the capability of link aggregation. So on the Megaport side, if you order a port and nominate you want to use a link aggregation, we can actually add up to 8 ports in the same group. So on the customer side, they can have similarly up to 8 ports connecting to Megaport. So that provides, I guess, 2 benefits. One is if one port fails or one cross connection fails for any reason, you still have the rest of the ports in the same group that can form the same logical port. You don't necessarily need to do anything to the VXC. You just need to work on your hardware problem and bring up the port, or maybe Megaport bring up the port again. Another thing is actually extend the capacity from one port to multiple ports. So the capacity from 10 gig to all the way up to 80 gig, or if you up to a higher bandwidth solution, it can be from 100 gig up to 800 gig if you actually have 8 100 gig ports in one group. So that's beneficial of link aggregation. But still, a link aggregation group can only exist on single hardware. So here comes the concern about what if the whole switch or whole router goes down. And in that case, Megaport actually have this concept of availability zone in most of the data centers. We run separate hardwares in 2 separate availability zones, red and blue in our terminology. I know that in some other providers, there are probably different terminologies like a primary and secondary, like A and B, things like that. But in our terminology, it's red and blue because there's no like preference as Megaport want you to use the red as primary or blue as primary. They are equally provisioned on different hardware. You can actually have a red port in the red zone and the blue port in the blue zone, and connecting to apparently the suggestion would be a different hardware on your side. So in this case, in terms of one router completely goes down, you still have another port on another router, and you still keep the connectivity up and running. Of course, if you combine them together, that would be from a port perspective, the highest kind of setup. You can have two groups, one group in red and one group in blue, so that you don't have this single hardware kind of failure scenario. And and even within the group, within red blue group or blue group, you still have multiple ports that can form a link aggregation group, so that in this particular red group, if one port goes down or one cross connection goes down for any reason, you still have that color still running. So in that case, you can keep the red and blue in the load sharing manner rather than have to fail over the traffic all the way from red to blue or vice versa. So that's probably some options for customer to design their port-based connectivity with Megaport. And I guess the other thing is, as I introduced, apart from port, MCR and MVE also considered as Megaport access service. So very similar to that, we actually have MCR and MVE. Those are typically compute resource. We also have them colored into red and blue separately, and we manage all the resource based on metro area. For example, Melbourne would have multiple data centers that can provide MCR and MV capability, and we categorize them into red and blue. Just for the matter of fact, customer need to have two colors running all together. And we do the same thing in Sydney, and we do the same thing in other metros. Um, it's not necessarily in each of the data center we have both red and blue. We might have some data centers running only red and some only running blue. But one thing we try to make sure is you always have the choice of different locations and different colors in the same metro area. So when the customer needs to bring up, for example, a pair of MV, either Cisco or Fortinet or Palo Alto, they can actually bring on one red and one blue, so that in case a single hardware failure in the red zone, it will not 100% impact the whole customer's connectivity. Or otherwise, if for any reason Megaport need to bring down the service for probably software upgrade or for any other maintenance, we won't do that altogether on two colors in the same metro area. We probably do that color by color and provide the customer notification so the customer can get prepared and make sure that all the traffic are still on the activated color, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's probably the options to design high availability with some Megaport access services. And the other, I guess, important factor is VXCs. VXC is not the access service, it's just the transmission between any two access services. And uh, we actually got questioned by customer a lot about we need to know your VXC path because we need to make sure that if we use that VXC is not overlapping with our other connectivity or it's not overlapping with another VXC we use from Megaport. Actually, the concept of Megaport VXC is we actually have protection built into our underneath transmission platform already for any single VXC. So this is a very indicative diagram of, for example, a metro area. We have typically multiple core sites, which can be the central of the whole metro. In this case, core 1 and core 2. And we have other data centers that are probably not as important as the core sites, but is still connecting into core sites for connectivity to other data centers and other metros. And you notice that in each of the data center or for each of the data center, we have minimum of two connectivities provisioned on a diverse path into the data center. So that means for a single data center, if a fiber got cut, we actually should have another fiber to still route traffic. And you also notice that I have colored the data center equipment to red and blue, but they all interconnected together. So that means if you have a red port in data center A, or in this case DC1, and you have blue port in DC2, they can always talk to each other. And even the uplink connecting to red zone is dead, they can traverse through the other uplink and still talk to the other data center. So it's all actually connected together. It's not like if one fiber dies, all my red port will go offline. That's actually not the case. And from all these capabilities and options, I guess it's very important to introduce some examples of using Megaport's I guess access product and the VXC to design a high availability solution. Um, I put on screen is our typical multi-cloud connectivity through MCR and also plus customers data center. You notice that to each of the public cloud provider, we also have interconnection points that marked as red and blue. That's basically the same concept that we use for customer ports. So when you provision a connection into AWS, Azure, Google, or Oracle, you have the choice to connect into red or blue. Apparently, that typically align with your MCR or align with your port. So you keep everything in the same color. Just in case that if there is any outage, there will be it will not be a cross-color outage. And also you can interconnect two colors together. For example, basically just from this red router to the blue router, you can do that as well. So that in case any traffic you want to route between the two colors, you can do that as well. Um, and that was a MCR scenario. For the MVE scenario, it's probably more flexible but more complex because MVE require customer to uh, bring their own license and apparently bring their own design. So this is an example of setting up a Palo Alto as a HA pair where Palo Alto requires three HA links between the two MVEs, and also you have the MVE can talk to internet, talk to the public cloud provider, and still the same concept that if you place two MVEs in two different colors, you might as well want them to talk to the same color in the cloud or maybe in your data center. And this is a example of similarly use MVE as your FortiGate, and so you can have oops, you can have two colors of MVE and talking to two colors of Fort and the cloud, just align them in the same color, but you can always interconnect them for the HA or for the traffic between the two colors. That depends on customers' specific routing design. The last one is probably connecting customers access service, in this case, a port. Apparently, it's very shallow. The color is MCR or MV will be the same case. Connect customers access service to the Megaport product. In this case, it's the internet. So when we present internet to customers, there are two choices as well in each of the metro area, red and blue. So if you have two ports in two different colors, you can actually connect the ports to the same color of transit router. So that makes sure if we experience, for example, red zone outage, you still have your blue zone and talk to the blue zone transit router and still provide you connectivity to the internet. Yeah, so that's pretty much I guess all the options and high level concepts of HA design with Megaport product. I might just jump into the portal and quickly show you guys when you actually start to order Megaport services, how this works. If you haven't got a chance to try that out yourself, for example, we probably just go with uh, one of the data center, Fujitsu in this case. me pick the 10 gig port and give that a name. Do you notice when I try to order a port, I have the option of port diversity. I can actually from the drop-down list create a diverse pair. That means I have after this I will have notice that the name field actually moved down from top to here. After this, I will have a port, hopefully in red. The first one hopefully in red, and another one hopefully in blue. So let me. Sorry about that. So that's basically if I want to create a diverse pair of port from day one, I can actually choose that option and just next. Then I will have a red port, which I named in red and sorry, drop in red, and that's being colored as red, and another one being colored as blue. But if I just go with the default, I just go with the default with 10 gig. I'm not specify. Do I need a diversity or other thing? So it will be a single port. So when I order that port, you will notice there's no color because when you order one single port, that means the color now pretty much irrelevant, and we can place that port in a random color. It could be red, it could be blue, based on the speed you require, based on the availability in that particular data center. Um, but once you have a port ordered, and once I click order, once I click order and push that through, it will actually tell me, okay, the port will be in a red zone because once you place order, the automation will make a decision that in that particular data center, red probably the next available choice or next best choice, and will present that to the customer. Once if you have a red port already running, you notice that there's another option I can choose from the diversity, which is diverse from existing port. So in that case, you can actually pick one of the existing ports. So apparently we have 3 ports in this same data center all in red. So I pick one of my test port, which is a red one. And you still don't need to say I want that port in blue because the automation will check on the port, check on the existing port, and make sure that we have another port, which is a new one provisioned in the diverse availability zone. So if I review order and click order, it will be landed in the blue zone. And that's how how to order ports in a specific color. But MCR and MV works a little bit different. If I go ahead try to order an MCR, Melbourne MCR, you actually can nominate I do want one in red or I do want one in blue. If we go back to Sydney, you can see that um, automated means the customer only just need one MCR. In this case, it really doesn't matter red or blue. Probably in the future, when they try to upgrade the design, it will matter, but now it's just a single router. It doesn't matter. But if the customer do want to put that into consideration, they can say, I want something in red for now, and in the future, I probably consider blue, or otherwise, I want something in blue for this particular MV in Sydney area, and you can actually choose that one. And go ahead with all the options and start to order MCR. So that's pretty much the difference of the ordering process between the port and MCR MV. For the MV, sorry, it will be very similar to MCR. Of course, you need to choose which one do you want to use, and after that, you have the choice to nominate, do I need something in red or something in blue, or I really don't care for now. I can just accept any random color and I'll worry about the high availability in the future, right? So that's basically a really high-level introduction of high availability design and options with Megaport products. I guess the time is up now for today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you guys in our next drop-in session. Have a great weekend ahead. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.